Linda Loveland. We are in Castle Hayne, North Carolina, out towards the coast. I'm with Elko Tinga. This is Tinga Nursery Incorporated, and we're talking about recovery after Hurricane Florence, because this nursery was hit pretty hard. First of all, tell us about some of the damage that you sustained.
It was, the damage in the background here is washed out roads during the storm. The ground was wet, and then we had a lot of water in the rain in Florence, anywhere from 20 to 32 inches, they say. And it kind of washed out the roads and the infrastructure and irrigation, so we had to move the plants off of that area into another area.
Now this field behind us is one of the areas that was damaged. What happened here, and what did you have here?
We had trees, 25-gallon trees and 15-gallon trees. And when the irrigation was washed out and the roads were washed out, we couldn't get in to get them, so we had to move them.
Oh, I see. And what about damage throughout? I know the danger with potted plants too. If they stay wet for so long, they could rot. Did you have any damage with that?
It was interesting. Our damage was mainly our potting shed, and the labor needed to stand up the containers. Because in the hurricane preparation, which we have a 2 to 3 week process that we go through to prepare for the hurricane, we actually turn over our plants and to control the fall. And we turn them over facing south so that the trunks are protected when the sun comes up and it comes around. And so then after the storm, there's usually a real hot spell. Well, Florence was the same way, and we didn't have our labor. And the interesting thing, Elko had 3 of his customers that came voluntarily, unannounced, 30 of them, and stood the nursery up. And in the damage process, the pump house was blown down, and the motor starters were wet. And the guy brought with him a 3-phase electrical contractor who we'd never met before. And he got one pump running, and then another one, just on a string, so to speak. So we got that going, and then the volunteers, you might say, stood the nursery up. Our crew, most of it is in Pender County, and some could not come to work for 13 days. They were flooded in. FEMA delivered water and food to the community, and so it was quite a hardship on everybody to get going again.
Now, when you say they stood the nursery up, so all these plants were on their side.
Correct.
How many plants is that had to be righted?
Thousands, yeah.
That must have been quite a job.
Oh, it is a job.
Yeah. So was this the worst hurricane damage that you've had, or has it been worse in the past? I mean, is this, and being close to the coast, I mean, is this
I think the flooding part, as far as the community goes, is probably the worst. Our nursery, we're very fortunate to have a creek that goes around the nursery, Ness Creek, and we did not flood. We have never flooded. And the Bertha and Fran were probably the worst for infrastructure, because actually where we're standing was a pine forest, and it's gone, of course. And so that took us 2 or 3 years to work out of that. And then the other storms that have come in, not too much. But Florence with the water was probably the worst, being that Wilmington was actually isolated for a period of time.
Now, you talked before too about the steps that you took before the hurricane. I didn't realize that you got ready that early before the hurricane.
Yeah.
So what were some of those steps that you do to get ready? And this is before every hurricane, I guess. You see something's coming and you kind of put this action plan in place.
Exactly. Well, we do things like screw the barn door shut, because we've actually had them blown off of the barn. And we collect all the trash. And we make sure all of our employees know what to do after the storm and before the storm and so forth. And then near the beginning of the storm is when we lay down our plants. And some of the trees were tied up, so we had to go untie them and then lay them down. And we have to, check on roofs, and it's endless. We have a check-off. Yeah.
A long list, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Elko, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate your time here on the farm. I know you're busy. This is a busy time of year, so but all your other plants, what you've had going, I mean, you've got a few things you haven't done yet, but everything else is just beautiful here.
We're coming along. We certainly are. Yeah. We have a good crew.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.